Cybertruck. Let's just get it straight out of the way. Cybertruck.
Of course, we as Blade Runner and Cyberpunk fans are totally hyped. So let's analyze this absolutely crazy designed vehicle and also compare it to the upcoming competition. And in other news,
Cyber?
Okay, let's try this again, because there are also some other electric car announcements, such as the Ford Mach-E, which we'd like to talk about.
Cyber?
And there's also the Gigafactory 4 announcement nearby.
Cybertruck.
And we'd also like to talk about the Gigafactory 3 in China, which is now officially finally.
Truck?
Okay, I give up. Let's just talk about the Cybertruck already.
Cybertruck. So the day that we've been waiting for so long has finally arrived. I can't believe it. It has been revealed last week on the 21st of November in Hawthorne, California, near the SpaceX headquarters. A date that we Blade Runner fans, by the way, know all too well, November 2019. And boy, oh boy, was it not an overstatement when Elon tweeted that the Cybertruck would look like an armored personnel carrier from the future. It indeed looks absolutely insane, so insane in fact that many people apparently couldn't believe their eyes when this beast rolled onto the stage. The shape is really edgy and has a lot of 80s retro futurism, kind of like a mixture of a DeLorean combined with maybe Deckard's police car from Blade Runner or Agent K's spinner from Blade Runner 2049. That was kind of like the first association we had when we saw it. We actually tried guessing the design in one of our older episodes from June. That's a drawing we did, and it turns out we weren't so far away actually. Now, will everyone love this design? Certainly not. You either love the design or you hate it. It is meant to be polarizing. That's what Elon said all along, all the time. He warned us that the Cybertruck would not be for everyone and that the design would be quite insane, probably too insane for many people. Even we as diehard Cyberpunk and Blade Runner fans, we couldn't believe our eyes when we actually saw this thing rolling onto the stage. Now the front looks absolutely amazing and super cool Cyberpunk-like, but what seems weird at first is this triangular shape. So all the design elements of the Cybertruck are actually 80s retro futuristic elements. That's what would have been imagined as being futuristic in the 80s, but not in our time. So this is like kind of an homage to 80s sci-fi cinema. We kind of like this edgy look, this edgy design, because everything nowadays has to be super round and friendly. So we really like it that this thing comes out and it's just brutal. It looks like pure brutality. Even we needed a bit of time to let it sink in and get used to the design, for like 1 or 2 days. Let it just sink in, and now we absolutely like it.
And Sid Mead, the lead art designer of the original Blade Runner movie, said he really loved the Cybertruck design, so we guess that's also a very good sign.
But apart from the design, what really surprised us was the price. Wow, is the price unexpectedly competitive. It's just crazy. $40,000 for such an insane looking vehicle. All the concept cars that the legacy car makers always show you cost basically infinity because you can never buy them. We always hated that about the legacy automakers. Super cool concept cars, but super boring production versions. And now you can buy an ultra-futuristic sci-fi concept car for only $40,000. Seriously, that really surprised us. And this is of course the base version that accelerates in 6.5 seconds to 60 and has a range of 250 plus miles, which is already quite good for this price. The mid version will be slightly faster than 4.5 seconds to 60 and will have a range of 300 plus miles and come for a still quite incredible $50,000. And the top tier version with a mind-boggling 2.9 seconds to 60 and over 500 miles of range for only $70,000. Everyone was expecting it to start at $50,000 with the higher end versions topping at around $100,000. This is so much lower than anyone expected. So we think the Cybertruck will sell really well despite the polarizing design, just because of the insane specs in combination with the unexpectedly low price. Now, of course, the other specs are also very impressive. For example, the 100 cubic feet of storage space.
Now the towing capacity will be up to almost 7 metric tons, which is really quite insane. It comes with autopilot as standard, by the way, and full self-driving will be another 7K extra. But still, the fully spec'd out version with everything included will be 77K. This is about what we paid for our Model 3 Performance. Just let that sink in for a second. You get a fully spec'd out Cybertruck with 500 plus miles of range, 800 kilometers of range for the same price as not long ago you got a Model 3 Performance. And the Model 3 Performance only has a 300-mile range and does not have this ultra-futuristic insane design. Now the Cybertruck will also have an adaptive air suspension with up to 16 inches or 40 centimeters of ground clearance, so you can really drive this thing off-road.
The shell of the Cybertruck is inspired by an exoskeleton and is extremely sturdy and shockproof as we saw, hence the steel design. That's by the way the same 30 times cold rolled steel that will be also used for Starship. It's the same steel as a freaking Starship that will fly to Mars. The glass is in theory also very sturdy, but apparently it still needs a bit more work until we can see it as shock absorbent as demonstrated here. Now on the interior, we have the usual minimalistic Tesla design that you can also either like or hate. It's also one of the things where at the beginning everyone was hating on, as you might still remember. But in the end, everyone appreciates and likes the minimalistic Model 3 interior. Funny, isn't it? At the beginning, everyone's hating it, but after a while sitting in the Model 3, everyone ends up liking it. And the same will hold true for the Cybertruck, and it will start to grow on people. So in the end, they will end up liking it.
So you have a central screen like in the Model 3, however, the UI seems to be much cooler and more advanced than what we currently see in the Model 3. Also, the screen is 2 inches larger than the Model 3 screen. Here we have one criticism. Me, especially as a fan and member of the ultra-wide master race thread over on Reddit, which I like a lot. So basically a fan of the 21:9 ultra-wide aspect ratio on monitors. A wonderful gaming experience, by the way. We would have liked to see the Cybertruck incorporate such an ultra-wide curved screen, because this thing is huge on the inside, offers so much interior space in the front. You could have put there an ultra-wide 21:9 monitor without problems. That way you could convey more information and have a better oversight and have the speed gauge nearer to your eyes, maybe in the middle the navigation, and on the right side more infotainment or entertainment for the co-driver. But okay, at least this spacious interior leaves probably a lot of room for mods and modifications. You can mod the hell out of this. You can put electroluminescent wires everywhere. Hell, this thing even has a 110 volt and 220 volt plug socket outlet, so you can plug in a computer, you can plug in screens, as many as you want. So you can probably mod this thing and make it look even more cyberpunkish and even more insane. And then almost towards the end of the presentation, like this is one of the one more thing moments, an ATV suddenly rolled onto the stage and was rolled onto the Cybertruck into the loading area. And you can even charge this thing with a 110 or 220 volt outlet of the Cybertruck. And the ATV will come as an optional accessory for the Cybertruck. One thing is certain, if we should do another America road trip again, it will be with a Cybertruck and an ATV in the back. This is just perfect.
So how does the Tesla Cybertruck compare to the competitors? GM just announced their electric pickup truck. What a coincidence as for the timing. Ford plans to do an all-electric version of the F-150. Lordstown Motors also announced an electric pickup truck. All these are slated to be launched by 2021. Then, of course, we have the Rivian pickup, the R1T, which had already been announced quite a while ago and is scheduled to launch by late 2020. So let's be realistic, also 2021 probably. So 2021 will be the year of electric pickup trucks, because we think Tesla will probably also deliver their first Cybertrucks during that time. Now, how does the Tesla Cybertruck compare to the Rivian truck? Well, stats-wise, the Cybertruck is of course superior, because as we all know, Tesla always has the craziest accelerations and the highest ranges. The top-tier Cybertruck has a greater range and a higher acceleration than the top Rivian. But the Rivian's more traditional styling and the very low-key futurism will probably appeal to more people. So in the end, it will come down to the pricing. And here, Tesla has a clear advantage, because Rivian won't be able to go down as low as $40,000 for the entry-level version, because they, as a much younger startup, simply don't have the scaling and production capacity as Tesla. The Rivian R1D actually has a starting price of $70,000. Starting price! With that money, you can get a top-spec Cybertruck with much better range and acceleration. Oh yes, and also autopilot and the supercharger network. It will be interesting to see if people will be willing to pay much more for a pickup truck with less range and acceleration, no autopilot and no supercharger, just to have a more conventional look.
And in other news, amazingly, Faraday Future, you know, the company that died like 10 times and still is alive somehow through some weird miracles and still refuses to die, now came forth and showed us the interior design of the Faraday Future FF91. We are curious if we'll ever truly see this car come to market. We hope yes, because it looks kind of cool. Not as outlandish as the Cybertruck, but still has a quite interesting and nice design, although we heard that the price of the FF91 will be quite insane, over $100,000. So yeah. In other news, Byton now has the permit at least to sell their cars in California, and if you buy a Byton M-Byte, you can use the Electrify America charging network 2 years for free.
And the Gigafactory 3 in China is now officially finished. I mean completely, on the outside and inside. The first Chinese-built Model 3 deliveries are expected as early as in January. That's amazing, right before the Chinese New Year's festival. Did I hear Chinese New Year? Dumplings! And then only last week, Elon announced the Gigafactory 4 to be built near Berlin, Germany. That's really some excellent news for everyone. For Germany, for the economy, for Tesla, and for the workers and engineers here. Okay, maybe some of the German car makers aren't so happy about this. Oh yeah, we almost forgot. Ford just announced the Mach-E. It looks pretty cool and can be an interesting Model Y competitor. In any case, we are glad to see that more and more car makers are going electric now, all thanks to Tesla. So do you like the Cybertruck design as much as we do? Or do you think it's a bit too over the top?
We can understand people who don't like it, but of course we ordered one because we're insane. We don't even know where to put it, right? We don't have enough space.
We still have 2 years to figure that out.
We have time to figure it out. Maybe we have to move to the States.
That's a good idea. Or do you prefer the other more conventional looking electric pickups?
I think they are boring, and I think the Cybertruck will sell like hotcakes. Mark our words, despite the insane design, it will sell like hotcakes.
So be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because we regularly upload 2 videos on EV or space news per week.
So then, see you in our next video. Cybertruck.